What is going on, Jerome? So, I had to do a raw, real car rant where I'm fired up, man. I'm super fired up. I don't care that it's a short week. I don't care that it's the stupid Eagles. I don't care what happened last year in Philly in prime time. I don't care what happened 38-7. Really do not care about that. And also, I don't care about what happened week one. Like, yeah, it really sucked. It is what it is. But you got to move on. And I know there's I, I assume it's like this in every fan base, but it feels like I understand that we skew a little bit more positive on here. It's not complete purple Kool-Aid, but I feel like we're rational plus one sort of deal, where I feel like a lot of people just are extremely negative about their favorite sports teams under the guise of being realistic. Like, I'm just being realistic, bro. All that stuff, blah, 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 that should tank, blah, blah, blah. Now, ain't buying that. It honestly seems like some fans are just on a hair trigger. They're just like the first inconvenience, the first minor thing that goes wrong. Oh, this team is terrible, blah, 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 blah. And I can't really blame them. I mean, given the history of the Vikings over the last 60 plus years, I understand it. Again, I don't agree with it, but I empathize. I understand where you're coming from, right? But I'm still fired up. Like week one, saw glimpses of what this offense can be. We definitely saw glimpses of what this defense can be when they actually only give up 13 points. We'll take that, man. Like, when you keep the opposing offense under 250 yards, you should win. But the Vikings just shot themselves in the dick several times and it didn't work out. And did the Vikings lose to the Bucks? Not really. The Vikings lost to the Vikings. But I understand that people think that the Vikings are going to start out 0-2, and it certainly could happen. It is within the realm of possibility. And also, week 3, you got the Chargers coming to U.S. Bank Stadium. Could it be 0-3? Sure, certainly. But are you looking just to tank at that point? Nah. This team's got too much fight in them. And guess what? It's a long ass season. You got 17 games, and again, we've seen glimpses of what this team can be, especially that defensive side of the ball, getting the ish together. Offense is going to be fine. Hopefully, they do something along the offensive line. But I'm fired up for Philly, where I had my mini funeral. You know, my little emotions, just like every other fan. You know, take a half an hour or an hour to be mad or sad or whatever, but move on. Like, we're on to Philadelphia. And if you watch the Philly Patriots game, what about the Eagles was really impressive? The offense stagnated against the Patriots. The defense, I mean, people are going to overhype the Eagles defense, but I mean, you know, everyone's like, oh, well, Darius Big Play Slay had a pick six. It was off a deflected pass, and Mac Jones made zero effort to try and tackle. By the way, it's so weird. Mac Jones is literally the dirtiest player in the league. Look it up. And he didn't even try to tackle Darius Slay. I don't understand it, man. But what you missed is that Eagles secondary, that back seven, had a lot of miscommunications because it was a small thing that people are overlooking because the Eagles are bringing in 2 new coordinators, OC and DC, and Sean Desai on the defense side of the ball to replace Steichen and Gannon respectively. So they're learning on the fly. And also, they lost a lot of their veteran leadership. They lost both of their leading tackling linebackers. They lost Hargrave over to San Francisco. So they're learning on the fly. And everyone hypes up, oh, Darius Slay had a pick six. Oh, Jalen Carter's unblockable. And yeah, that may be true, but they can get got. They can. And Kevin O'Connell, he's got to get ready. Like, he's got to be able to scheme things up with an offensive line that can't block, get the ball out quick, use their aggression against them, work on screens, hopefully not tight end screens that go for negative yardage, but also Nakobe Dean and James Bradbury potentially being out. James Bradbury was a second-team All-Pro last year, man. And that's kind of a big deal. So the Vikings offense should and could be able to move the ball. Defensively, I mean, Jalen Hurts is going to be tough. And love me some A.J. Brown, love me some Devontae Smith. Goddard probably won't put up a donut like last game, but I know I just got a tingling. I got an angle in my dangle. Like, I'm feeling it where I'm not saying that the Vikings will necessarily win. I mean, they're 7.5-point dogs for a reason, but I think they're going to fight the good fight, man. And that's all that you ask. Like, you know, sports is like, well, you either win or you lose, and every single season you don't win the Super Bowl is a failure, blah, 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 blah. That's a mark of a person's opinion that you should not take seriously. But I think that the Vikings are going to give the Eagles one hell of a game. I mean, they're going to take a couple punches, except they're going to land a couple of haymakers of their own. They're going to go full Donald Cerrone on this thing. And I think the Vikings, they got a puncher's chance. They really do. I think that the short week helps them. I think that the fact that they beat themselves is really going to piss them off for greatness. And also, I mean, remember, like the Vikings lost a close game. It's whatever. You know, the Buccaneers were supposed to be bad, but they're not. Maybe, well, if the Buccaneers actually turn out to be good, shocker. But I mean, what if you're the Giants? Like, how do you come back from 40 to nothing? I mean, at least we had 40 to 3 that we came back from. No big deal. Or, I mean, the Bengals. You paid Jumpin' Joe Burrow all that money guaranteed, over $250 million, and then you just turn in that performance against a division rival. Like, it's rough. It's rough, dude. So I think the Vikings bounce back. It's not as big as some other teams, and I think that the Vikings are going to give Philly the business on Thursday. I really do. Again, what stood out about the Eagles game against the Eagles, against the Patriots, like what reminded you of that Eagles team last year that was so dominant? Nothing. Naza. This Eagles team can be beat, and we'll see what happens with the Vikings. And I'm feeling it again. I mean, it's just over 24 hours, and I'm back on the horse. And yes, I'm ready to get hurt again. Maybe put a couple of jelly beans down on the Vikings money line. I don't know. Like there's so many options, but we'll see, baby. But either way, keep SKOL alive. It was one game, 16-1, getting it done. The Vikings are still very viable in the North. This is still a damn good football team. No, they don't need to tank. No, they don't need to tear down this team. That's complete nonsense. But by the way, what kind of life lesson is that? Like, especially if you got kids and you're watching the game with them, and the moment anything goes wrong, oh, everything sucks, everything's terrible, blah blah blah. Because you may think that sports is just entertainment, but it's really ingrained in people's lives. It is, and you know how you do one thing is how you do everything. And I don't know. Like, you got to be really careful if you're a really bitter, resentful, negative sports fan, because I think that it could bleed over to parts of your lives, either consciously or subconsciously. But it's a whole nother conversation for another day. Either way, car podcast, I'm fired up. Let's go. SKOL, no production value.